Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Hindsight Podcast. Glad to be in your company for. I took a 2-week break, so 2 week or 1 week break actually. But it's good to have. The squad is growing bigger. The core team is getting stronger, and of course, we are clearly getting a lot more traction than we expected. To be honest, it's actually great because I actually see all the messages on social media, and it's actually amazing. So it was great to have Jide here last week. We had IBK with the most incredible skit ever on the podcast, in my opinion. Who else was here last week, right? But we have an addition to the squad, which is why I tell you, look, when we bring a lady here, it's always one of the biggest and one of the best to ever do it here in this part. She's also, when you speak about people being traditionally inclined as well, she's a super as well. So it's good to have you here because, look, we've always thought about bringing a lady here. For some reason, all the ladies we try to get on, always pull the plug on us. I'm not quite sure if they don't rate us, but I'm not quite sure why you wouldn't do that. But it's fantastic to have you here, and what a real pleasure to be able to welcome you to the podcast for the first time, right? Because funny thing is, me and Swag go way back, so we worked a couple gigs.
You can't mention the name.
Yep. No, you got to give us money.
No,
got to give us money. Got to give us money. Good to have you here, Swag.
Oh yeah, fantastic stuff. I mean, where do you see this plethora of maleness? Like, if you were like a musician, there's different kind of flavor for you. You get the bucket hat kids, you do the b-boy, you did dance, bro.
Small.
And
I
I
did
did
try.
dance. I think I don't see dance.
B-boy.
I don't think so.
Then
This one.
you get the OG when they give Dr. Dre vibes. And then you get the new kids when they give you.
I don't agree with that
I
one.
never understand them because every time I meet you, you're always like having a new look. How
Nah,
do you do it?
do Travis Scott.
I'll take it correct, Benny. The IK actually works, right?
Yep, correct.
No. I'll take it correct, Benny.
But this is great. Congratulations, by the way. I was shouting in the crowd.
Yeah.
When, the awards was going on.
If you go back to watch the Ballers Awards, shouts to them for consecutive times. So I was actually screaming in the crowd, which was amazing, right? So you're currently working on the Nations Cup for the women's AFCON, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It
I'm
felt
already
like
coming
is
to
that a non-disclosure thing?
Oh no, that's cool. Like,
Can I put that out?
You can put that out there, 'cause, like,
Right.
the first woman to do
And you're doing PG commentary.
That's why I'm holding on to this things, and I can't hold on to the things you hold on to.
That's quite special.
I have no idea.
That's quite special. Actually. I mean, we're doing PG commentary, right? For Super Sports. That's actually amazing.
Yeah.
It must be a great feeling.
Yeah.
I hope they're paying you a lot of money as well.
I don't know about the pay. Let me know. Like, honestly speaking, I never asked about.
You don't need to answer that,
I
actually.
never asked.
If
As they called me, as South Africa called, I didn't ask. I just like, because I was already like, my ticket was ready. That I was supposed to go to Morocco, and I was supposed to do Commonwealth and Colombia for the Junior World. So when they said, "Are you interested in commentary?" I was like, "Fine," because I had the conversation with CAF for English,
right?
But it didn't come true. So I was like, "I bet let me go and do content in Morocco." But when they said, "Oh yeah, come on," I was like, "Okay," in pidgin, "Okay, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere."
If they pay you, if they pay you a lot, tell us. So
I know the fear.
No, I think
If you be, I go talk.
I think you have to trust. You have to trust Lagosians with doing what's best for them. So I trust that the choice you made was the best for you.
Of course,
that's for sure. That's for sure.
course,
Your house stress is not going to pay itself. I was just going to say.
no.
I was just going to say that we need that fantastic story to be as loud as possible so you get closer to the mic. Yeah. But look, it's actually amazing that you're in that space and playing hard.
Don't set me up before you come and start asking me tough things. So I'll just look at you and be like,
you play hard, right? You play hard. It's amazing. Look, because I remember when we stopped working together at the show back in the day, and the question is, people are always looking forward to what are you going to do next, right?
Yeah.
I don't feel that pressure because I trust the All Father to do what he needs to do. But you can tell that as a professional you're always feeling the pressure to what's going to be next. And I see you blazing the trail, doing stuff that I didn't know that you wanted to do. So it's absolutely amazing, right? So shout outs to you for that, right? By the way, I used to call her Tracy Chappelle, but I think sits just really nicely, right? Yeah. Super, it's good to have you back here because I was speaking to the producer last week and. As we're trying to renew contracts for
love it.
Oh my God!
Trying to renew contracts. And your contract was actually like for podcast.
One of the first contracts.
It was asking for some ridiculous amount.
one of the first contracts we renewed.
But he realizes he's the only port playing in the Champions League.
Absolutely.
So
like not many ports play in the space we play in.
Definitely.
My sister doesn't even watch football at all, but she watches every single thing. She doesn't watch football, and my sister is not the kind of person to patronize me. She's a doctor, so she's a busy person, but she goes ahead and watches everything we do, and she knows everybody.
Wow.
So I think you're still gonna have to pay for your medications and drugs, but I think you might jump the queue. But it's good to have you here, Swimpy.
It's good to be back here. Once again, this is always like the best time.
I hope you like the shot they gave you in the mini documentary. I hope you like the shot.
I think it's quite good.
Wasn't bad at all. I mean, look, not many people get to open our stuff.
Yes, now
so
you
open our stuff.
You won't complain.
Oh boy,
You won't complain.
Whiskey FC.
Right? opening. What was a really nice documentary. Rufai is always here, so Rufai knows it's all love. Rufai, I like the shades because I saw it at your place and I put it in my face. I didn't know your head was that big, but
it's deceptive. It's deceptive.
Listen to this guy. See.
I can't fit through my face.
It's not a case of the head being big. It's a case of when the cap fits, it fits.
Wow.
Like, I agree.
She'll get.
They carry me, they go where I don't know.
Help me. If they carry me, they go where I don't know.
You get the memo because the idea was actually for you to put it on so you could get the swag, right? I drove past you on the road and I was like, that guy is cool, but it's
giving Ibiza vibes.
It's not
Ibiza next, anyways.
Speaking of Ibiza, summer is here. I don't know. I look forward to August in Lagos for some reason. Not just Premier League, or the top leagues reopening, but I do look forward to the events. I do look forward to that. I have a superstar I work with. Shouts to Dio to the TUN. Always booked for all the biggest events. The most booked person I know. I know a lot of people, right? So it's good to get that out of the way, right? Coming in today, I figured we wanted to touch on a couple of things, but I wanted to streamline into two major topics. Of course, the transfer window is always something that we're going to talk about, at least for another 24 days, which is what the Premier League still has to go on. But Rufai did mention that we should start off with a local story about the last day of the Nigerian Professional Football League. Honestly, I don't think I want to talk about it, right? So I'll let Rufai tell us. So Rufai, Kano Pillars are involved in a relegation battle, yeah?
Yeah.
Personally, I think they should be relegated.
Yeah.
But what's your take on that? I find that it's a saga that is an enabled one.
Yeah.
The LMC, in my opinion, complicits, Kano Pillars, hooligans. Where does this go?
Well, I think it's more about the permutations going to the final weekend, right? So we got.
So what's the permutation?
Yeah, Rivers United are champions already, but the permutations, for example, with Kano Pillars currently, let me just, because it's important to just state, facts. Kano Pillars currently 18th position on the table,
right?
And if this remains come Monday morning, right, Kano Pillars are relegated.
Yep. Okay.
But they've got 45 points. Naturally, it should be 42, and the reason is because they had a game against Katsina United where their chairman or somebody went crazy, punched someone, So they had a 3-point deduction, but it was suspended. And the rules was, if this happens again, that suspended 3 points will be taken out.
Right.
So then they went to another game. I think that was against Dakar or something.
Yeah,
Dakar.
And then they did the same thing. So it was chaos. Right? Was it against Dakar? I think
it was Dakar, yeah.
So they went and it was chaos again. So now the LMC are coming out to say this is quite plain and simple. You had a suspended 3-point deduction, which it was said that if you do anything again before the end of the season, the 3-point deduction goes, into effect. And, they did that. So LMC are saying we take out that 3 points. So they go to 42 points. If that happens, they are ultimately relegated before the final game of the season.
Right.
But now, according to what, the news making the rounds, some people who have access to, so pressure from governments everywhere, from the Kano state government, from all sorts of people saying don't deduct the 3 points, because if they don't deduct the 3 points, it is still not certain that Kano Pillars don't get relegated.
Right.
Whatever happens on the final weekend, because they're playing Shooting Stars at home. If you know the NPFL very well, I think Kano Pillars will win the game by hook or by crook. Anyhow.
Right.
Even if they don't play in their...
You understand? Then go win the game.
Definitely.
But then they also need results elsewhere to go in their favor. So it's a case of they're hoping, they're pressurizing the LMC to make sure that the LMC do not take out that 3 points. Then if the LMC don't take out the 3 points, then they now have to go and win their game against Shooting Star at home, and they have to win it by 3 clear goals.
Right.
And hope that results elsewhere go their way. Which also, personally, I'm looking at what do the LMC want to do. You have your framework, you have your rules and regulation clearly stated. You have a 3 points deduction that was suspended. If you do anything, of the sort again, we take it out. And then they do it. So it's plain and simple. You take it out and they're relegated.
I think it makes the LMC look some level of weak if they don't deduct that point.
It makes...
They actually
they are weak.
They are weak.
Because
I know, but I'm
you
saying...
can't flout a law.
I didn't know you wanted to analyze it.
No, you can't flout a law on the regular now because it's
why
not
would
fair.
you make a rule and somebody's trying to cajole you to, change it or something or do it in their favor?
Well, I tell you why, right?
They are the team of the North. You get
right.
And if they leave, the core team of the North is gone.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that they are using as a pressure point and a pressure hook. Like, if they leave, that means only south, southwest, southeast. Who is going to rep the North?
Yeah.
But the truth is, football is not politics. If you wanted to play the game, then you would have done the work that everybody was doing. Every other team, like for instance, Rivers United, they were getting former coaches from places like Eyimba and whatnot. Fatai Osho. It was on the studying Stanley Eguma. You can see how they run. They
Run away
through
with the league,
resolutely. Almost 5 games in hand and they had already won the league. But Kano Pillars was not stocking up. They were not doing well by their players. And then you come and tell us that play less so that I can qualify. Are you high? Is this football? Please.
Is this a playing?
Are you playing? What type of playing is this? This is playing.
No.
I covered the game. I did a game for NPFL TV a year and a half ago in Kaduna.
How was that experience?
It was good. It was actually good. It was a nice hotel. It was a nice hotel. I enjoyed doing the game. Actually, it was a Kano Pillars game, not in Kaduna. Yeah. I did one in Lafia. I did one in Kaduna as well. They have a lot of following. That's for sure, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I never felt so unsafe in my life. Honestly, I never felt so unsafe in my life. I was doing commentary because of course I was doubling as color commentator, and I was also on the pitch side, right? Opening the game, and I remember during halftime I have to go back down to the pitch side to interview a couple dignitaries, and there was literally no way for me to assess the pitch side. It was crowded to the brim.
Wow.
Whilst I like the support, I think that Kano Pillars are the most notorious team in the league, and
they are.
Honestly, the league can do without that kind of notoriety. To be fair, so I don't want to spend my time talking about Kano Pillars. I think it's a waste.
If they were paying fans, I would say okay, maybe let's see how to monetize this and make it work. But they don't pay. They just come in, they put pressure, they carry 4x4. You are even lucky. The last time I covered, my cameraman they gave him iron like this in the back. Let me
so heads up, if you send me an email, whether on LinkedIn or anything, to do a game, I'm not going. Right? I want to speak about Raheem Sterling today, which is pretty much the biggest story. Of course, we have 2 Chelsea fans who, of course, you can trust the objectivity as far as the stories they're going to analyze. But clear disclaimer. Because the first signing of the Todd Bowley era at Stamford Bridge. Look, £47.5 million. He's 27 years old. Scored a ton of goals for Man City, 131 goals. Had a couple of assists as well. I think that you go back to Chelsea, who have always tried to sign, some of the best English talents. I remember Chelsea, of course, tried to sign Rooney from Man United at the time. Tried to sign Gerrard in his prime. So this is the first time they've gotten that breakthrough from another quote-unquote superpower in the league. The problem I find is the frenzy around Raheem Sterling. It kind of feels like there's a revisionist idea of who he is. Because I've seen him mentioned in the same phrases with Eden Hazard. And, some very important players. And I'm thinking, is this the expectation on Sterling in relation to his quality? Because this is what I think. I think Sterling is a good player. I don't think he's a impact player.
Yeah.
I think he's a player that needs to work in a good system.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you agree with that.
I don't. I see where you're going with it, and I think you have a solid point. The reason I don't agree, quite honestly, I don't think you can mention Sterling in terms of, how good they are, how talented, in the same bracket with a couple players, with some of the players that we've seen him being mentioned in, on social media. But I also believe that Sterling, now I'm not talking about how good he is in terms of, the talent and what he has done or, what have you, but I think he's as significant in terms of he's one of those English players who, the narrative about English players being overhyped, they come with a lot of potential, a lot of promise, and then they never end up, delivering. But I think Sterling is one of those English players where, look, the boy made his debut as a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
And coming from there to where he is now, he has tried, at least he has remained there. He has remained, a good player, a solid player. Stats are good. Like you said, 130-something goals, 119 assists. So the stats are good. So he's one of those players where English talent, but he has proven his worth, in my opinion. Clearly proven his worth. I have no problem with him moving to Chelsea. Only problem I have is with the money, because I was looking at the guy.
I hear all the time. I hear there's something he brings to the Chelsea attack that Chelsea have been lacking. What does he bring?
I think that if Chelsea's boys, the ones that play the 10s and the 8s, I'm talking about people like Pulisic or Mount. Mount is even better than Pulisic, in my opinion. If they had done their job, there would have been no need for a Sterling. But because they've always been so, like, 2-3 games in, after a while, they'll just fall. It's almost like they're like one-track gods. They don't know how to, roll out a proper EP. They don't know how to do that. Yeah. But what he brings is longevity. He's a guy that is always underestimated, whether it's for the national team. When you always look out for an Harry Kane, is Sterling that rises up to the crop and does the work. When he was in Liverpool, he was one of those guys that I thought, overhyped. But when you understand his story, you understand that this is the best move for Sterling and Chelsea right now, because what he brings is the hunger.
Yeah.
Yes, I say hunger because, sorry for cutting, hunger because he don't do everything. To a man that has won everything, say for the Champions League, he understands the local, he understands how to manage international playing time, especially since we have a lot of that moving towards the World Cup and otherwise. He knows how to manage his time. He knows he doesn't have a lot of injuries. He knows how to manage it. He knows when to dribble, when to pass. Even if he runs like a girl, like the Mazda used to yab him for. See, I would take him any day. So I feel what he brings is depth. He's young enough to give Chelsea 5 years comfortably. And with that, it means the mounts of the world, they will become men under him.
So you're signing Sterling not as a good player, but a marquee signing, because I never
He's
seen
a marquee signing.
So you see,
never seen him like that.
He's
so you see that this is exactly what I want to talk
Nasi
about.
finish, you're worrying.
Nasi finish,
because you see this is a small boy.
Look,
Make I tell you why Nasi
so
finish.
let's go back to Chelsea's last 5 marquee signings. You're better at this than me, so let's go. Lukaku. Marquee signing.
There was what's his name? What's that? This the German now.
Havertz
Marquee signing.
Timo Werner.
When they signed Timo, he was. Remember?
Let's not.
The number of goals he had.
Yes.
This thing.
No wahala.
This Morata way they call make I no cost make you know.
No,
you said the last 5 now, so we got 3, so we have 2 more. So I'm thinking if we have 2 more before we get to Morata.
Why are you calling Morata?
Who else was there?
Is the Torres and the rest now? They really not really stood out with Marquis signing.
Essentially, is Sterling the best of that crop?
No, he can't be. But here's what I'm saying.
It's a different kind of football right now.
So here's what I'm saying. I quite agree with her. I think there's a bit of sea finish with how you've labeled Sterling, because quite frankly, even though I feel like if it was someone else that has the numbers that Sterling has, I think he would get much more respect.
Understand that Callum Hudson, although I can't even cop up those numbers.
These are what the numbers are, right? Sterling made 7 years at City, made 339 appearances, scored 131 goals, had 95 assists, right?
No, 119.
No. Had 95 assists.
Okay.
131 goals for City, right?
As a winger,
right?
And almost
as a winger in a
start
team that favored playing, playing in a centre forward. Let's be fair.
They can play.
And look, if you play in Man City's team as an attacker for 7 years and you don't score goals,
Something's wrong.
Something's wrong with you.
No, but that's
that's unfair.
Look,
Ian
that's
actually
unfair.
didn't
Let me
crop
tell
up
you why.
those numbers.
No, that's unfair. First
Which
of all,
player?
look,
games.
Yubi.
He
That's unfair.
had
How
the
many games
best
did
goal
Sterling
to
start?
game ratio
Yeah.
while he was at City.
No,
he
that's
didn't play a lot
fine.
of
That's
games.
He
fine.
didn't play a lot of
That's
games.
fine. But
So
the reason,
which makes you have that kind of a...
That's fine,
The
but
point
the
I'm trying to
reason-
make is that attackers naturally thrive at City.
not
Right?
necessarily.
So...
We have those ones who have thrived.
Right.
We
And
have
those
those
that have been
ones
average.
who didn't.
Which ones?
So
Very
I mean,
few
they
that
bought,
didn't thrive, though.
they bought Jesus Navas with a lot of promise.
Yeah.
As a winger.
Jesus
Also.
Jesus Navas is a limited player.
Yeah.
Came in and did what he had to
No,
do.
listen,
Won a couple of Premier League
listen.
titles.
He can be a limited player, but at the time they were bringing him in,
He was supposed to be the
coming
savior.
from a place where he was a key player for the team. They were buying
Was
from.
Jesus
Was an
ever
important player.
a marquee
Yeah.
player? He was
No,
never...
he
From the
wasn't
team
a
he
marquee
was
player.
coming
He
from,
had
he
to-
was
wasn't a
their
marquee
most
signing,
important
no.
player.
He was the most
Jesus always
expensive player.
signed as a
You don't understand
squad-
what I mean.
He's a squad player.
He's not the biggest player at Man City. But they were signing him as the most important player from Sevilla. It was Sevilla they got him
Yeah.
at the time.
Yeah.
Right? And guess what? They brought him into the team. Let's not forget, he didn't sit on the bench. He played until
Back to back
he was
is a
not
hit.
performing.
Yeah.
Do you understand? They didn't have this, plenty,
bro.
To replace
Are
him.
we- are you gonna
Where I'm
compare-
going,
wait.
where I'm going, guys, is remember Sterling was in that team with what's his name with Sergio Aguero. He was in that team. I think he was there when Edin Dzeko was there as well.
Yep.
He was there. Who else?
Company.
He meant
He's
company.
a company
I'm
I'm
talking
talking
man.
about
everybody.
strikers.
Pep has been there
I'm talking about strikers
Pep has
and
been there
attackers.
for 5-6 years there about.
Yeah.
He's been there for 7.
5
You get
seasons.
so I'm talking about attackers. So when you say that, you see, I mean, they play him as a striker. No. He has played, the most for City as a winger.
So I
That is a fact.
I have to ask: is Sterling world class?
Okay,
I
I
think-
feel he's world class. What I want to look at is how they pair him in Chelsea. I want to see how they do the combination.
And
Did they play winger?
Here's what I think.
See,
No.
See, they get combination you they carry.
Exactly, yeah.
Whatever formation you like, and whether it's the 4-3-3 or whatever that they like to use for Chelsea, especially these days. I don't know what third would want to do because usually our former Oga, he used to be hands off. But this one now might want to be hands-on owner and do the thing that Nigeria used to do and tell the coach, you will play this formation or that.
Trust me.
I'm just saying.
Tuchel will have it. Tuchel will have it.
Yeah. And that's why they're not
I'm
getting
just-
Tuchel is in
Cristiano.
charge.
You get because if we're not even getting, let's not even enter because if we're not, we need Lewandowski because for a player like a Sterling who likes to touch the ball a lot, I would like to see him paired with strikers that are one-touch gods.
So you
because-
see, that's where I was coming
so-
to.
so-
let me quickly say.
So Sterling is world class. Is
Let
a walk because the theme of the episode today is we want to determine the expectations going into a season, right? So when you sign a player like Sterling, and I've seen Chelsea fans, speak about
We love
Sterling
him.
in the same language with Eden Hazard, I'm thinking
No, they should hold it there first.
I'm thinking this guy must be the next big thing.
No, wait. They should hold it there first.
Yeah.
You know,
First
honest-
Hold on.
First,
Right.
take break. First, put the match break.
No.
See,
Now,
just-
take
hold
the
on.
car back to gear one.
Hold on.
Just to sign his
people say since
I
Lampard
don't
is-
rate
is-
them until they
is the
finish
best
that until
cover
January.
since English signing since
So
Lampard.
I think
I'm like, I think I had Joko.
I think you can't just outrightly say things like that. It's ridiculous. But I think there's a bit
Is
of
it better than Joko?
there's a bit of nuance.
No, he can't be now.
On legendary
hall of
status.
goals.
Is it better than Joko?
Legendary
The hall of
status.
goals.
Not even legendary.
Because these days it's about the goals,
The
it's about the
stats.
stats.
Yeah.
I personally, I've never been the biggest Sterling fan. I
Mm-hmm.
think he's a guy that will deliver, but I've just never been his fan.
Yeah.
That's why I also don't have a problem with him moving to Chelsea. More so, even though I don't agree with Thomas Tuchel's approach, I think Tuchel said he was a top priority.
Yeah.
And the reason I think is because, even though I don't agree with it, he said last season that he had Havertz and all these people that they will do a lot during a game, and when they arrive at the crucial time to
Yeah.
maybe score a goal, they are
They
tired
can't.
because they've done a lot.
Yeah.
So I think he's bringing Sterling in because he knows Sterling
He'll do
runs
the
a
work.
lot but still gets goals.
Yep.
So that's why he's
Sterling a clinical
important to
player.
Tuchel.
Because I watched Sterling for a couple of years and I think he's a wasteful player.
Now,
See,
here's my take on Sterling. Yeah. I feel like Sterling is the guy that is branded or brandished as somebody who's mid. Like from time.
So you think it's a
They don't
stereotype
see
there?
him. Yeah, they don't see him. Yeah, they don't see him as somebody who can ascend to that either marquee level or superstar level or something. Even while he was at Liverpool, they still see him as
Well, Liverpool was a
that
kid.
young, but he was
he's
a
a
kid.
child of an immigrant.
Yeah.
It's expected.
And
You
then,
never
and then
expect this
when
from
he
him.
moved to City, he kind of grew into the team and became better. Because I could see the transition of how he was coming from he was a 20-year-old when he got into City. He was 20, yeah. And then you could see the difference from a 20-year-old to him living right now, a 27-year-old. And he said he came in as a boy and he has become a man living city. And truly, yes, he has attained the height. He has attained the height. He has scored over 100 Premier League goals, which a lot of players haven't been able to see. I mean,
that's what I'm coming from.
And in all honesty, if he goes to Chelsea,
that's what I'm coming from. That's what I'm coming from.
He has over 100 Premier League goals.
If he
goes to Chelsea,
the first I just did was that Ukwa
See, let me catch you. You underrate him. You know,
if he goes to Chelsea, I think he would deliver the goods. The only problem would be he would deliver the goods. If he goes to Chelsea, he would deliver the goods. I don't think he would have maybe any like tough time playing for Chelsea because he kind of plays the certain way that he plays.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
He's a system man. He plays to instruction.
What's the best thing?
He fits in.
But
I'm not saying he's a superstar like a mega star.
On this show, we speak about specialists, right? And when you sign a player for 47 million, 50 million pounds effectively with that kind of frenzy, right? You have to say this is one thing the player does excellently well. Yeah. So what does Sterling do excellently well?
He's an excellent winger.
What is the one thing if you give him the ball 89 minutes, game is 1-1? What's the one thing Sterling would do well?
Okay, let me put this like we did this commentary for the Euros, and because we're following up the English games. So when you run commentary for English games, now then you go really look and you see a player being special. I used to be like, Sterling, just that guy. Most of the times when all the pressure from the defense was coming to the Hurricane, Sterling was the one that was finding spaces in pockets that people didn't get. He has that special touch. He has an eye for looking at the quiet spaces that you won't make. Yeah. Put 3 people around him. Sterling will still find a way to wriggle out. And it's very difficult, especially now in modern football, to sustain that. So I want to see him do that thing, Pro Max. What Mason Mount used to do for Chelsea, small, that they were clapping for. Because the last time Chelsea had someone of that quality was Eden Hazard. So if they can't get that, fantastic. He's a specialist at that.
So even though, like I said earlier, even though I don't agree with some of the things that Tuchel is doing going forward as a team, with how clearly Tuchel has decided to play, I think Sterling fits into that perfectly. I think the Pulisic, if Pulisic had been able to stay fit, he should have been the one winger that Chelsea has that can be direct, take on defenders, go at you, take and people out. Shots. You understand? So I think Sterling comes with the ability to take people on, get the ball, be direct, take people on, head on, go at them, go at the defense line.
Check out the stats with direct tackles now.
Which also brings me to the fact that if you also notice, like I said earlier, Sterling played most of his career at City as a winger, even though he played as an attacker sometimes. And every time he played as a winger, getting to the byline and bringing the ball in, at some point, Sterling was almost the best in the Premier League doing that.
Yep.
Getting to the byline and bringing it in.
Yep.
So it was almost the best.
This is my problem with Sterling, right? I don't have a problem with Sterling. I have to
You're talking about two sides of your mouth now.
This one, I hit that.
The point I'm trying to make is, and I'm not quite sure I'm getting across, is when you play in a team that's always winning, right? You are allowed to coast sometimes, even when you're not playing well. And the team's performances carry because you have specialists across the pitch, right? So when you sign a player like that, who is used to doing some work for himself, but ultimately, if you don't show up, someone else will show up, and we can discuss why he didn't show up later, right? At Chelsea, he would have to show up, and the rest of the wingers look to him as the Don Dada. You're number one, right? I find a player in Sterling that has tendencies not to show up.
I have seen him do that.
I'm a United fan, right? Even though I can be very critical of them, Sterling has never had a good game against United.
Okay,
right. So what I see is a player who's got a lot of pace, can run, but I don't see an X factor. Sterling is not Coutinho.
So can I?
And Coutinho is faded 4 years ago.
Can I respond to that?
Hold on a sec. I don't even think Sterling has X factor that a player like Son has. Fantastic.
No,
right? I don't think they're on the same level. So if we're talking about Heung-min Son, world class, Sterling is a level below Heung-min Son or a level and a half below Heung-min Son.
Wow.
Can I respond to that? Can I respond to that?
I don't agree.
So what I think is what I think
level is fine.
What I think is
Maybe half
you
a
make
notch,
you
maybe.
make. I think it makes sense that if you play in a team of superstars,
Yeah.
then your roles are defined and you really don't have to do much. So in that regard, I can agree with Son being above because come on, Son is a Tottenham guy.
Son
Yeah.
carries
20-something
Son
goals.
is carrying
No
knockouts.
I'm sorry.
Now,
That's a
having
big
said
fish in a
that,
small pond. A big
now,
fish in a small
like,
pond.
God bless you. Now, having said that, that's one angle of the conversation. The other angle of the conversation is the same way you've talked about
Why
Sterling.
are you so dramatic? See the other.
Now this walk now. Now the walk.
What will they do?
Calm down. Calm down. You see, the other side of the conversation is the same way you're talking about Sterling, playing in a team that always wins and so doesn't really need to do much. It's the same way you can say about a Son that if Son goes to City, can he handle the situation of playing among superstars every time and not being the main guy? So those are the two sides to the conversation.
Angle.
Now, to come back and for me, I think what then happens, what would really, solve this is you never really know how good a person is,
Until you throw him
or
into
like they say, sink or swim, Abi. You never really know if they can swim until you throw them there.
So
I think that's why. I
to
Sterling
say
did this.
now
So Chelsea-
that Sterling is not the guy
I
that
think
can
that's
be
why
the main
Sterling
guy
took
in
up
the
this
team.
thing because
Fantastic.
he had
So-
the options. I think that's why Sterling took it.
No,
Not
I
just because of
agree.
the money, but because when you reach a certain level, you want to prove to yourself. He only had the flash in the pan to do that for the Euros, and even with that, the English press still vilified him. And
You
the only
get,
time
with all
that
the
he managed
pressure around.
to mess up,
honestly,
Son
they
is
blew
a
it.
Son is
So
a media sweetheart.
No, it's not a secret.
He is actually. Wait, see, go check. When was
Hold
the
on
last
a
time you
sec.
put
Hold on
Nobody
a
don't
sec.
talk any bashing
Ah,
about
Zah,
Son.
hold on a sec, hold on a sec.
Nobody.
First of all,
Even
first
his
of all,
run, they yab him. Even
first
his
of all,
walkout, Sterling, they yab him.
the two most likable players in the world
Yeah.
are
Harry Kane
N'Golo
and
Kante
Oh,
and Heung-min Son.
Yep.
Yeah.
You get, that's what I'm saying.
Hold
Actually,
on. You can throw in one matter into that list. They are just nice human beings.
Bro, Son go welcome Tottenham people for seal. They post that.
It's
They
a
said they post
What's
what's
that?
happen.
it's a fantastic touch, right? You understand? But the point I'm trying to make is, and I think I made the point already, right? Look, so we're saying that Chelsea are a litmus test for Sterling because this is the first time that he is going to be
The one
who the
Done
team
that,
links
like
to,
you said.
right?
Yeah, so
right.
let's see what he does.
So let's see so just when they do litmus testing now, it's fine. It's
Like
but
Rufai said.
indeed,
Like
Chelsea
Rufai
still
said,
needs to
like
get
Rufai said.
strikers.
the coach said he was top priority. So Tuchel is saying
What do you expect him to say?
Nahim Gogo. So that's why I also said,
But-
even though I don't agree,
but
But you
Yes,
understand why
here's
now?
the
Most of
problem.
the time,
Here's
most
the
of the
problem.
games that Chelsea bottled over. Sorry for cutting.
for it.
Most of the games that Chelsea bottled over the season that passed was because of 8s and 10s that couldn't do their jobs, that they couldn't close a game. He needs a closer, and most of the games that Sterling plays, he's a closer, whether you like it or not.
that's another point. Sir.
Yes.
That's another point.
I don't think.
They still need a strong
I
striker.
think if Chelsea goes by the saying that you're saying, Tuchel is saying,
Stop, right?
Raheem Sterling is the top priority, it will be a huge pressure on Sterling and he will crack.
Crack how?
Like he would. I'm serious.
If he stay under Pep Guardiola, under Pep Guardiola, and he's not
He will
crack.
crack.
If he didn't crack under Pep
Because
Guardiola,
lots of superstars
Black don't
in-
crack, but
Wait. This boy.
This one-
You said
Like,
that means he's
You
top priority. He's more of the
when I
point
talked
man
about
or the main man.
You see when I started
be a
talking
lot of
about
pressure.
You see when I
He might crack.
started talking about Sterling.
what's with you and the crack? You've been cracking. Crack on.
You see when I started talking about Sterling, right?
It's a cracking
There was something I wanted to
season.
say, but I decided against it. You can also say this one are idiots. But you see, I think actually that Sterling, in terms of his impact in his own, in what he has been able to do in terms of shaping narratives for people who are like him, people who have his, identical stories to him.
Yep.
I think it's
For
as
immigrants.
important as David Beckham.
Yep.
Now, the reason I said that is because this is a boy that lived in Jamaica until he was 5 before moving to London.
Yes.
Sort of an immigrant, like you said.
Sure.
So all the issues I has had to go through in the media, we talk about how a lot of players, that was it. I mean, Jesus Navas mentioned, his daughter was sick because the weather was harsh on, his family. That was why he didn't perform at City and he needed to leave.
A lot of them have
so
that problem
a lot of
at City.
players have all these things, and this boy has been scrutinized, has been discriminated
X-rate.
against, I think a couple of Chelsea players even abused him racially at some point
Dude.
back in the day. So this boy has gone through all these things, and somehow he's still one of the most important English players going forward.
Zero bad person.
Attacker.
Quality character. Quality player.
I like the human side to the story, which is the most important part of it.
Yeah.
Because in the end, you're dealing with human beings.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And those stories are important. Same thing with Lukaku, you know. If you look at Lukaku's background,
Yeah.
similar,
Exactly.
similar,
Exactly.
similar to
Yeah, the only
Sterling, right?
difference is one person
the point is, what I try to do, you know, as much as often is, and people watched the last 2 episodes or last 3 episodes and, you know, thought I was, you know, being anti-Lukaku. I don't think there are many people that like Lukaku the way I like him.
Of course.
You understand?
like
But
the
in
guy
the end, I have to analyze the performance ultimately. I like the Sterling story. It's amazing. I think that he's a stereotype. He falls into a stereotype, black player stereotype for the media, which is absolutely nonsense. And every time you can trust that over the course of the season, if there is any point he's unduly hounded, if anybody doesn't put a voice for Sterling or the players for that stereotype, you trust that I would say, look, this is what I see, because I can cut through the analysis, right? So that's for sure. I'm just saying that from a performance point of view, I think that we're setting the kid up for a bit of trouble.
No, I actually think.
That's what I was saying too.
I actually think he has prepared all his professional career for this moment.
For this
I feel
moment.
so.
I agree
Fantastic.
with you in the
Said
sense
a
that you
man.
play in a City team, you are not, nobody looks to you to make everything happen. Now you're moving to a team where seemingly you are going to be the one to go. So look, you made your debut at 16. If you cannot handle this pressure at Chelsea now, what have you been
And in
doing?
big clubs, so he's one of the
for
only
how
few.
many years?
Right.
Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, they're
I
not
should
big clubs.
I should have made this analysis for Lukaku when he joined. But you know, Lukaku is my guy, so like, you know what? Let's frenzy, you know. I didn't say anything. So I hate to do it at the end because that's a bit revisionist. So I'd rather do it at the start now. I like the kid.
Want to be proactive.
Yeah, that kind of thing, right?
like the kid.
So yeah. He's 27, right?
He's 27.
You know,
I beg. How old is this your dada?
right?
How much more telling you call him a
That
kid?
like 3 months.
Thank you guys for listening to the Hindsight Podcast, where the conversations you're having in your homes about football are had here live on the show with the guys in the studio. Don't forget to sign up on social media, follow us on YouTube. So, of course, you get to hear more of these conversations. Nice. Good?
One take, God. Who's next?
Cloud. Reach out.